And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have.
We're finishing now part 2, chapter 2. And what we've said so far is that people have free will and their actions are, some are good and some are evil. And by the way, the Rambam writes explicitly that everyone has some good actions and some bad actions. Everyone. Everyone. And he takes it for granted that there'll be a variety. We talked about the fact that this world and the next world are asymmetrical. The next world is where the majority of a person's actions, which determine his identity, are compensated. For the righteous, they exist in the world to come and they're rewarded. And for those whose major complexion is black, are excluded from the world to come.
And you know what else, Jim? I just want to say this to our Christian friends, you know, just to call it as it is and say it straight out, you know, you guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us because we all die for your sins every single day. And that's exactly what's going on here. Yeah. We're all God's firstborn. We're dying for your sins right now because the Jewish people in the land of Israel are the bulwark against the orcs. Okay? The orcs are coming not to a theater near you, but to your home.
They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have it's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately. We are the party of common sense. I knew that once they had open borders, all of the countries, I didn't think about all over the world. I thought in South America, it's all over the world. Last week, a lot of people came in from the Congo, a big prison in the Congo in Africa. Welcome to the United States. They came in from the Congo. They came in from the Congo. They came.
For a little breaking news, we are also going to be restoring the names to Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort A.P. Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee.
Now, this may come as a surprise to you, but as many as 10,000 Jews served in the Confederate Army, and they served bravely. There was Adolf Proskauer, a recent immigrant from Poland who fought at Seven Pines, Chancellorsville, Gettysburg, and Spotsylvania. Wounded at least 3 times, he just couldn't kill this guy. Then there was Louis Leon, also a recent immigrant, this time from Germany, who was one of the few survivors from his brigade who fought at Gettysburg. Now, he was real hardcore, and 50 years after the battle, he had this to say in his memoirs: "I still say our cause was just, nor do I regret one thing that I have done to cripple the North." But there's one Confederate who in some ways topped them all. Judah Benjamin was born in the West Indies, grew up in South Carolina, and made his way to New Orleans, where he also made his fortune as an innovative sugarcane plantation owner with 140 slaves.
Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics with the KKK, to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the race, the people known as the race black, really are.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism, with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
בזמן שישראל לאחרונה נמצא מפצו כמה עניינים. מה שרואה עוד, וגם אותו שעדיין משאיר ליבו, אז הייתה משהו ממה ידיעתו. הכנראה שהיא מספיק, כאילו שהיום כבר כמה שעות בגיל עדיין ליבו, אבל יש עוד כמה שעות, אז יש להשתדל גם היום, בבשורות טובות. יש שמחה וטוב לבוא. כדי שחסידים מקפידים שכל עניינים יהיו שמחה. בשורות טובות, הצלחה רבה.
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
When I show you what I'm about to show you, your mind will be blown. You're going to be blindsided. Every single Israeli prime minister has a fake name. Did you know that? I was just talking about Ben Gurion. Do you know what his original name is? It's Gruen. Gruen. He changed it to make it sound more Jewish and sound more Middle Eastern. Do you know what Netanyahu's real name is? It's not Netanyahu, it's Milkovsky. I swear to God, go and look it up. You'll find Milkovsky. That's his real name. These are, remember what Israelis are. Israelis are European Jews. They don't come from Palestine, but they want you to make you believe. They want to make believe and make you believe that they come from this area, that they are indigenous to the land, that they're so Jewish, right? Even though they have no connection. So they changed the names.
There are Ashkenazi Jews who are entirely European in their DNA. That's why you're not allowed to have a DNA test in Israel, because it will reveal that virtually none of them are Semitic, virtually none of them have any ancestral connection to the land. I was viciously assaulted by a manager in the BBC who had recently converted to Judaism. It's fine. I love all religions. But you can't say I've now converted to Judaism and therefore I have a right to go to the land of Palestine and live in the house of someone whose ancestors have been living in it for thousands of years.
Without getting too semantic, or at the risk of getting too semantic, does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone that is joining me with this live tonight. Appreciate you guys for being in the chat. And before we get started, let me just give some shout outs here. And I know this is an unscheduled live, but I thought I would do a live anyway. Especially with everything that we see going on. You guys know that what my position is, my stance, especially when it comes to the prophecies and how we should be more targeted with our prayers instead of this generic stuff that we've been institutionalized in praying. Right. So we'll get to that here in a second. But first, let's give some quick shout outs here since we still kind of fresh in this live. I want to say peace and blessings to Sardina Rice. I want to say peace and blessings to you. Thank you for the love and support. Appreciate you. Want to say peace and blessings to Ty, my sister Ty. Peace and blessings to you. Shalom to you. Let's see here, my brother up in Massachusetts holding things down up there. My brother, Elder Ashby, appreciate you, my brother. I want to say peace and blessings to you. Let's see here. Fresh Springs, want to say peace and blessings to you as well. Let me do something here. I meant to do that here. I'll do it on later. Gotta give you a wrench, brother, Elder Ashby. I've been meaning to do that. All right. I didn't know I didn't have you with the wrench, but I got to get you a wrench here. So I can't do it through StreamYard. So I'll make sure I do that before we conclude tonight. All right. Want to say peace and blessings to Fresh Springs. Want to say to you, Shalom, Mishpachah, to you as well. Peace and blessings to you. Really appreciate the love and support. Let's see here, Judah Tribe. Israelite Gamer, want to say peace and blessings to you, my brother. Want to say shalom to you. Appreciate the love and support. Remnant of Yah, want to say peace and blessings to you. Shalom, Mash Paka. Want to say peace and blessings to you as well. My brother here, no wait, please don't. Shalom, beautiful people. Want to say peace and blessings to you as well. Appreciate you, my brother, holding it down in the chat. Ernest Higgs, I'm going to say shalom. As he says, shalom, shalom, Yahuda, and Israel. I want to say peace and blessings to you, my brother. I know you've been supporting us for years and you've seen the ebbs, witnessed firsthand the ebbs and flows. So I really want to just give a special shout out to you as well for just the support over the years. Really appreciate you for supporting We Woke Now, supporting some of the other platforms, as far as my cousin, Bishop Brown with Boom. Really appreciate you, my brother. Really do. All right. Let's see here. Milton Miller, keep waking us up. Shalom. I want to say peace and blessings. Absolutely. You know, can't stop. Right. Got to keep it going. Right. Keep this momentum going. Halala waya. I want to say peace and blessings to Nananu. Excuse me if I mispronounce your name. But I want to say shalom to you. Really appreciate the love and support. I want to say shalom to Elder holding it down in the building out there in California. I just was talking to my daughter. She's here for the weekend. She flies out in the morning, telling her we got to fly back out there over the next couple of months because I got to get some, some additional places that I want to visit out there. So I want to say peace and blessings to you. Let's see who else. Who do we have in the building? Marcia, I want to say shalom to you as well. Get a few more in before we get started. Jacqueline Carr. So a big group came in from the Congo. So who is the most divisive president in a president of America? Absolutely. Well, I've been playing that clip for quite some time because that's from his presidential campaign when he was on on the road. And that's the stuff he was pushing. He was pushing the purge. Everything that we see right now, he was promoting those things. And I was trying to give a warning of what's coming down the pike once he got elected. But really appreciate you, Jacqueline Carr. Who knows? You may be related to me because Carr is my family's name, Carr and James, right? And also Jacob. When I start going to the generations that's like 4 generations above my pay grade, right? I start seeing Jacob, right? But anyway, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Who else do we have here? Monica Curry, want to say shalom to you. Peace and blessings to you, my sister. Appreciate the love and support as well. Vahana, want to say shalom to you. Aktria, want to say peace and blessings to you. Shalom to you as well. Really appreciate it. Let's get a few more in before we get started. All right, let me see if I see any new names popping into the chat. All right. I want to say shalom to Sister Carol, Jerry Carroll. I want to say peace and blessings to you. Appreciate the love and support. Let's see here. All right. I think I see another name here. Let's see here. I think it's Tangela. Yeah, Tangela Henderson. Want to say peace and blessings to you as well. All right, family, we're going to go ahead and get it in. All right. We're going to go ahead and get it in. One last one. I see one more here that popped in. Let me give a shout out here. It's real quick. Let's see here. Staccato Benelli. Excuse me if I mispronounce your name, but I want to say Barak to you as well. Peace and blessings to you as well. Appreciate you. All right, family. So you see what's on the screen, right? And I know that many of you guys probably be aware of what's going on here with the news cycle. And this just happened last night or early this morning for us in terms of Lindsey Graham. You guys are familiar with the political landscape, and I want to make it clear here. I don't support Democrats. I don't support Republicans. I don't support independents. I don't care less. I could care less for any of those political parties because what have they done for our people? What have they done? Right? Each one of these guys have had hatred for our people and literally have done everything they can do to take us back to a place that we, this country shouldn't be going at, trying to go to. But anyway, I want to make that clear that I am not politically affiliated with anyone, any political groups. I'm not affiliated with any of that stuff. All right. But I do want to touch on this because you guys know that I've been teaching this for quite some time, right? We have the power. When you start really looking at the scriptures, how many of you guys noticed this, right? Have you noticed this? And you could give me a 1 or 2 if you notice this. Every time Israel was in captivity, when they really decided to say to the Most High that they are down and they want to cry to him with one voice, as one man, as one body, as one people, things shifted. Have you guys noticed that when you read, of course, the Egyptian captivity, the Most High made it clear with Moses that he heard the cry of his people, right? In other words, a sincere cry, Yara, right? Quara. Quara is the Hebrew word for cry. And he responded. If you guys notice that type one, and I'm going to give you some more examples, like when you read the book of Judges, and that's one of the books that tend to get overlooked, because if you read the book of Judges, you see multiple captivities there, and you'll see a pattern of the Israelites, right? Once Joshua died, once he transitioned, right? Israel began to get into the very things that the Most High told them not to do. So they began to indulge in Baal worship and worshiping the groves, Astarte, and all these different things, Asherah, right? Then judgment came, right? So they went into a captivity. They went into hard times. And then finally, when they gathered themselves and realized they can't get out of this captivity without the Most High, they cried out to the Most High. He heard them, and then he raised up a deliverer. And then what happened? They come out of that. And then what did they do again? Right? You'll see it in Israel again, sin before the Most High. And what did they do? They went into another captivity. And you notice that each captivity began to progressively get longer and longer. But the key is every time they cried out to the Most High, every time they cried out to Abba Yah, that's right, Abba Yah, right? That's the Hebrew word for father, Abba Yah, right? Now, in the Israeli, many cases you'll see Abai. Abai, that last portion of it, by A-I-I, that is a diphthong that is foreign to the ancient Hebrew. So whenever you see Abai or I or the A with the A-Y sound, it should be extended with Yah. All right. So just give me a little nugget here, family. So just like when you say Adon, some of you guys will say Adonai or Adonai. No, actually, the ancient pronunciation is Adonai Yah, right? Because it's directing us to Yah. But nevertheless, but you'll notice that every time Israel got to a place, they strayed away, judgment came, and they are going through an extended period of oppression. Then they cry to the Most High. Most High, when he see that Israel is sincere, then what happens? He responds. Have you guys noticed that? Right? There's a pattern to this. Right? Now, when we get into some of the other captivities of larger communities, such as the Babylonians, starting with the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, and so forth, you see the same pattern. Now, how many of you guys believe that? Have you guys noticed that pattern? If you guys noticed that pattern, type 1, and I'm going to go ahead and give you some additional shout outs for those that I may have missed, that may have just joined us along the way. Let's see here. I see here. Let's see here. Golden Mask, want to say peace and blessings to you. I got a 1 here. He's in agreement. Bahana, we see 1 as well. We see Jordan Jenkins. Want to say shout outs to you, my brother. Like that suit, like that sports jacket. I'm a sports jacket guy. Want to say peace and blessings to you. You're in agreement with this as well. Let's see who else is in agreement with this. Tony Williams is in agreement. Have a 1 here. Ty has a 1 here. Want to say peace and blessings to you. Also, we see a 1 here. Yeah, and I don't want to butcher your name. If you could just type in how it's pronounced, but it looks like it says Nunanut. Excuse me if I mispronounce your name. Charge it to my head, not to my heart, like the old school would say. Fresh Springs 1. You guys noticed this, right? Let's give some additional shout outs here. Emma Horton 1. Okay. Remnant of Yah 1. Chris Curry 1. Yes, Yah hears early in Exodus, right? So we all in agreement. Elder holding it down. California 1. Let's see here. Sandina Rice. No, she didn't hit 1 or anything like that. But I see some fists. I see some hand claps. I see some fist bumps. I see some stars there. So as far as explosions, but I'm gonna take that as you're in agreement. All right, my brother, Ernest Higgs 1. Let's see. Do we have anyone else that's in agreement with this? All right. I think Jabbar. Let me see here. Jabbar, shout outs to you. We have a 1 here, so in agreement. Tangela has a 1. So okay, so we look like we have pretty much unanimous voting here, consensus here. When we see here's 1, SEMO 1. All right, so it looks like everyone is in agreement that is the pattern that we see. Mel Commons 1. All right, that seemed to be the pattern, right? That seemed to be the pattern. Let me get a couple more in here. Let's see, Dwayne Butler. Good evening, Pastor Richardson. I want to say shout outs to you, Brother Dwayne Ock. Really appreciated my brother for taking time out of your schedule tonight to join us. Really appreciate you. All right, let's see who else we have here. Heather Richards, Richard have one. A couple of more here. Stan Will, one. So we all are in agreement, right? We are all in agreement that we notice the pattern. You know, I'm very analytical when it comes to data and trends, and so you see that if you really pay attention to the text, every time Israel had a situation, right? Even though many of their situations were self-inflicted, what happened? Once they got to a place that they were in total submission, total surrenderance, and what happened? They cried out before the Father. He heard their cry, right? And he interceded, right? He came up with a plan, right? To a rescue plan, so to speak. All right. So let's go to continue here. Let me clear the screen here. And before we continue, I want to encourage everyone, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, start sharing the videos, hype up the videos, because YouTube is doing everything that it can to shadow ban. I'm currently shadow banned. They've been blocking videos. They've been giving me all kinds of notifications, trying to, they've been taking down videos. They've been, since we started this channel, they have removed over 25,000 subscribers. I saw the numbers. I took a screenshot of it. 25,000 subscribers plus. All right. So the way that we can try to get past this algorithm is that hit that thumb, right? Let's make sure we get at least 100 likes, and depending on the numbers, 200 likes, 300 likes. And then once we conclude the video, go into the comment section, type a comment there. And if you have a YouTube page, which if you have a YouTube account, if you're here participating right in the comment section, share it on your page. Just hit share, right? And you just write a note on it, and it'll share right on to your social media page as far as YouTube. So that's the way that we can try to break this algorithm. But yeah, they really doing trying to do a number on it, but it is what it is. We're going to continue to press on, right? We're going to continue to press on. But nevertheless, so we all in agreement. We are all in agreement. So with that being said, right, this is going to lead me to this passage that I'm going to share with you guys. Let me share this passage with you guys. Let me stretch this out. Let me share this passage with you, right? Revelation chapter 11, verse 4 through 6. But really, we're going to focus on, well, actually, let me see. Did I put the whole thing here? Yeah. All right. So we'll start with verse 4, right? It reads, "These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before Yahweh of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed." But look at this verse right here, verse 6. "These have power to shut down heaven." Who are the these that's being referred to here? Who are the these? The these. I know that's kind of not proper English, but I'm a proper grammar. But you guys know the point that I'm making here. I'm trying to highlight where it says here these. Who are these here that's being referred to, being referenced to? Well, we got a nugget here. If we go back here, it says these are the two olive trees. Right. And then up at the top here, you guys probably notice here, it says the two witnesses, right? Who are the two witnesses? Who are the two witnesses? Now, in the church, right? In the theological spaces, right? They'll teach you that the two witnesses is they'll refer to Elijah, they'll refer to Enoch, because both of those guys didn't see death. Some of them refer to Moses and Enoch, or Moses and Elijah. So you'll see a combination, somehow, one way or the other, you see one of the combinations of the three, all right, as being the two witnesses. But I'm here to tell you that's completely incorrect. That is completely incorrect. The two witnesses, they are, as you see here, the two olive trees, right? This is the northern and southern kingdom. This is the northern and southern kingdom, family. Believe it or not, this is the northern and southern kingdom. All right. And so it goes on to say here, matter of fact, let's see what it says in the back here. Because when you see this is a great book right here. It's a good book. Bible is called the Expositor's Bible by, believe it or not, by Jimmy Swagg. It's a good Bible in terms of it's a KJV, but some of the commentary is off here. But look at what it says. It just to my point, I just decided to look here. Look at what it says. The two witnesses, Enoch and Elijah, two men who have not yet died. Let me zoom it in so you can see what this commentary is saying here. All right. My two witnesses, Enoch and Elijah, two men who have not yet died, actually being translated before they saw death. So that's the standard, that's what many believe when you start dealing with the Christian, when you're in those Christian spaces, right? That's what they teach, but that's not the truth. That's the furthest thing from the truth, right? And I can share another bomb scripture with you before we get started here. Matter of fact, I'll share that with you here in a second after we go through here. I'll highlight these passages here. But let's go here. It says, if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. But here's the kicker. Look at verse 6. These have power to shut down heaven. Who are the these? The northern and southern kingdom, right? Have power to shut down heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. Guess what, family? What this is telling us that we have the power to speak plagues into existence. It makes me think about some of my old music that I used to write. I used to be in the entertainment field industry for a little bit. Not getting into the specifics and all, but I remember one line that I wrote, in one of my lines, right? I said that, I'm reckless like a tornado, storming like a hurricane. Catastrophes flow freely. That's what I used to say. Catastrophes flow freely in my blood veins. I'm reckless like a tornado, storming like a hurricane. Why? Because I understood even when I was in those spaces, because I read the Bible several times, even as a kid, from cover to cover. I understood the power. Let me say that again. I understood the power, right? That we can call it plagues into existence. We can call plagues into existence. That's the thing that the people that have oppressed us, they don't want you to know this. That's why I say that there is something special about you, Judah. There's something special about you, Israel. And if we said it from the ancient Hebrew, there's something special about you, Yahweh. There's something special about you, Yasharah Allah. That's right. Notice what I said. I didn't say Yasharah Allah. I didn't say Yasharah all some of the different pronunciations. The actual ancient pronunciation is Yasharah Allah. Why? Because there's L. If you cut off that that last then there's no name for Al or L. That's a European interpolation, right? L is not even that's not even the ancient Hebrew sound. So when you see any word that many have used to cut off and end with an L, that tells you that it should be an I at the end of that, and in many cases an I at the end of that, and so it'll be pronounced Allah. Allah is not something that was hijacked by Islam. No, it's a Shemitic word. You'll see this word in Arabic. You'll see this word in Aramaic. You'll see this word inside the Syriac languages, right? You'll see this in Hebrew, as far as ancient Hebrew. You'll see a number of different cultures use that same word, Allah. Okay, anyway, but nevertheless, family, we have the power to speak into existence plagues. How many of you guys believe that? How many of you guys know that? Now, let me tell you how the church hijacked your power, hijacked our power, hijacked our authority. Because instead of calling these plagues into existence, we've been witchcraft, we've been hoodwinked to under the poor teachings of praying for your enemies. How many of you guys have heard that before? Pray for your enemies. And they hijack the narrative by teaching you that the enemies that Christ is referring to, Yahweh Shai is referring to, is the Roman government. Did you see any prayer that Yahweh Shai made towards the Roman government? Let me, matter of fact, you know what? Let me go ahead and do let me do it here. Let me post it here, right? Let me take a poll here. First, let me tell you how Israel's name is pronounced in ancient Hebrew. Let's see, Yasha Ra. All right, and I'll post it right here. All right. So I just want to post that there. So think about that, family. Think about that. Let me ask that question, and let me post a question in the comment section, and you guys can let me know what you share your thoughts, yes or no. The question is going to be: have you ever saw Christ pray for the nation? Now, of course, we know that Christ, right, Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, we know that he healed a Roman daughter, but he didn't pray for the nation of the Romans as a nation. He didn't pray for the Greeks. He didn't pray. We don't see him praying for the Babylonians. He prayed for those that belong to him. That's what he said in Luke chapter 17. He prayed for those that belong to him. And he made it clear in Matthew chapter 15 that he come for who? The lost sheep out of the house of Israel. Yasharah Allah. All right, but let me take this poll real quick since I mentioned it. All right, let's do this real quick. All right, we're going to put this poll here. You guys can give me a response here. All right. All right, let's see here. All right, so I'm just typing here. I'm going to add an additional option. All right, let's start this poll. All right, let's start this poll. Let's get this poll going. Let's see if we could get at least 100 participants here. All right, and we're going to continue here. All right, so as I pointed out, family, we have the power to shut heaven and earth down in terms of this entire place that we dwell in, right? But going back to my point about how we've been hoodwinked to praying for our enemies, right? The same people that have raped us as a community, the same people that continue to create new bywords and still hold on to the other bywords, who have expressed total hatred, want to get us back to a place of slavery. We just witnessed certain situations that's happening. I'm gonna drop a video on the young guy that now I can't think of his name right now, that was murdered, that mysteriously died hanging out with his Caucasian friends, and he come up dead. You know, but think about all the things that we have been subjected to. Think about what this commander in chief has been saying about our people, trying to erase our history. So, but yet we are taught that Christ said, pray for everyone. See, that's the trick of how Nolan, that's his name. That's what people, that's what this beast has done to sabotage our authority, because they have taught us that we're supposed to love everyone. If they confess and say, forgive me of my sins, and after they done raped your children, after they done raped your spouse, now you're supposed to say, I forgive you. After murdering your son, after murdering your daughter, you're supposed to say, I forgive you. That's not how it worked, family. That's not how it worked. But what Christ was really referring to was his far as brothers and sisters that are in the opposite tribes. That's the true tense. That's the true understanding of the text. It was not a generic thing. So I want to make sure we understand. They put overlays, right? That's what I refer to it as, overlays, on the text by the way of commentaries to help promote a certain behavior, to trigger certain behaviors when certain things happen. They have us being more protective of a religious system than our own brothers and sisters. You have brothers and sisters, just like in the fraternities, the fraternities and sororities have brothers wanting to kill brothers and have killed brothers, sisters killing sisters, right? All for a fraternity. You have people doing the same thing for religion that would rather mow down their own brothers and sisters for a religion. Anyway, have you guys noticed that? Right? So again, we have the power to speak plagues into existence. Now, some of you guys have been following me for a while, right? Right? Do you guys remember me saying this? That we have the power to call plagues into existence, and I'm praying for plagues to come into effect. Have you guys remember? I've been saying this. This is not new. I'm praying for the plagues to come in. I'm praying for the plagues in this government. I'm not praying for this government. I'm praying for the plagues to come to this government. I'm not praying for any government around the world that have suppressed our people. I am praying for the plagues, just like the plague with the Egyptians. That last plague, really, how it really targeted the leadership, far as their families. But all those plagues was targeting the Egyptians, the nation that had Israel under captivity from their agriculture. When you start dealing with agriculture, it's going to affect their currency. It's going to affect their resources, right? So even when you saw how the water, all those different things, that was something that those plagues were based on, the suppression of that community, right? Because when you read Exodus, you'll see that how Pharaoh gave the power, empowered his own people to kill boys that are 2 years and under. He allowed them to have militias. He empowered everyone in that community. Am I right, family? You guys read the word, right? Am I right? Some of you guys may not know that. Come on, family. If we just come together, and matter of fact, I believe, right? Like the scripture says, one chase 1,000, two chase 10,000, right? Guess what? We got at least 300 people that are alive tonight, right? We have more than enough people. And if we have people around this country, not just around this country, across the four corners of this earth, say, you know what? We're going to pray as one voice. We're going to start speaking plagues into existence to these governments that are around the world, to these billionaires, to these people, to these politicians. We're going to speak plagues who are constantly tearing up stuff. Come on, family. Let's start with the data. They got data centers since this commander and thief has got into the office. Now what has happened is he got rid of all the watchdogs. Now you got data centers popping up all over the place. And guess what they're targeting? They're targeting our communities. In Tennessee, what's his name? Elon Musk in Memphis, outside of Memphis, he put up a data center, promised to have all kinds of checks and balances to make sure that it does not contaminate the water there. Guess what? He reneged on every promise, and now the water there is contaminated. Think about what happened in Detroit. They, as far as Flint, Michigan, I think it was Flint rather. Think about what happened to the water system there. What happened? They knew that the water was, the pipes was eroded. They knew that the water was poisonous. And what did they do? They still allowed our community to drink that water. Then finally, when they shut the water down, guess what? They bring bottled waters out there, bottled waters that's been sitting in factories, sitting in warehouses for y'all knows how long. Bring those same bottled waters that are contaminated. That's right, family. When you have bottled water gets contaminated, right? With microplastics, because as that bottled water sits, guess what? That plastic started dissolving. right? So that's why you see expiration dates on bottled water. It's not because water expires. We know that water doesn't expire. It's the container that's holding the water. So what do? They bring the water out to those bottled water out to our brothers and sisters to do what? To help undermine their health. Oh, come on, family. That's what they're doing. I'm praying for a pestilence. I'm praying for them to get hit where it hurts in their finances. I'm praying that when we start understanding about these data centers, the reason why these data centers have power, guess what? Is because we keep giving them our data. Did you know that, family? Did you know that your data is more valuable than what you give credit to? I'm very protective of my data. That's why when you go on when you join Facebook, man, they had disclaimers saying that they get to do whatever they want to do with your data. So if you start guarding your data more, guess what? You'll start shutting them down. Now let me share this, and I'm going to get into it here. We're going to get share a couple more things here, right? How many of you guys watched the show called what's that show? Chi, right? Chicago, right? Chi, right? That show Chi, right? You know, I decided to watch it because I saw the PR on it. I saw how people were, you know, this is supposed to be the last season, so I never watched it. Never had a care to watching it. So I decided to, okay, let me see what this show is all about. I was watching it. It was all kinds of crazy stuff as usual, pushing a narrative of the LGBTQRSTU, all that. It was pushing that whole agenda. But nevertheless, you know, I stopped watching it, and then someone said, hey, you know what? The last two seasons is not really saturated with that. So I decided, okay, let me go in and watch and see what's going to happen. So I started watching season 8. And guess what happened? Right? Gets all the way down to, I think, like 6 or 7, like 4 or 5 episodes left. Suddenly I get a message because I have an Amazon account. I get a message from Amazon saying that Paramount now, in order for me to watch that Chi video, right, or episode, I have to say okay to Paramount taking my data. To Paramount now taking my data that's supposed to be protected through Amazon. Because when I joined Amazon, I selected for them not to what? Use my data for anything, not send my data to third parties and all that. You guys know what I'm talking about. And then suddenly now I get a message from Amazon saying that, hey, in order for you to watch this episode, right, trying to hijack, right, Paramount is requiring that, hey, you give them okay to utilize your data. Well, guess what? When I went to Amazon, let me see. I may have it still pulled up here because I researched it. Yeah, matter of fact, I still have it pulled up here. Right. Let me share this real quick. Right. Let me share this real quick. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Right. Let's see here. And guess what? How many of our brothers and sisters said okay to allowing Amazon to now pass your data over to Paramount? And why is that significant, family? Because Paramount, right, you know, is owned by the 1948ers. Let me see here. All right, let me remove this here. I'm going to share this and then we'll get back to over here. Let's see here. Let's see. This just happened, family. This just happened Friday. Can you guys see my screen? If you see my screen, type 1. I'm just moving this out of the way here. All right, let me do it like this. Let me minimize this here. Hold up, let me do something real quick. All right. Let me try it again. All right, I think this is it. Yeah. All right. Give the thumbs up if you can see this. All right. Let me zoom it in so you can see exactly what they say. See, what's his name? Ellison or whatever his name is. He's a 1948er, and he's been really pushing to basically, by way of Donald Trump, Commander and Thief, allow him to have a monopoly. He owns CBS, he owns CNN, he's owning all these. He's pretty much, the way that they're setting it up to allow him to have basically ownership of like 95% of the market of all the entertainment outlets, right? So look at here, Paramount Skydance privacy policy. You guys see this? This is what came up, and this is why I'm praying plagues. I'm speaking plagues because these guys are greedy. This is how valuable your data is. So for me to watch Chi, right? They wanted me to consent to allowing them, as far as when I say they, Amazon, to allow Paramount to have my data. And look at what Paramount says about what they do with data. It says Paramount Skydance Corporation is a leading global media and entertainment company that delivers premium content and experiences to audiences worldwide across studios, networks, streaming services, live events, merchandise, and more. But let's scroll down here. This is what really stood out. All right, let's scroll down here. All right, let me zoom it in more for you guys to see it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to turn up the AC. My office is kind of hot here. All right, but look at here. The controller of this personal information will be the company that provides the Paramount services to you. You can view a list of Paramount Skydance controllers here. We know how important it is to protect your information. This privacy policy explains our practices and your choices on how we protect, how we collect, use, and share your information. Right now, let's go ahead and scroll down a little more because this is just crazy, man. All right, bear with me 1 second, family. Let me turn the AC up a little bit here because my office is getting a little, it's a little hot. No air circulating. Hold on 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I had to turn the AC up here because I had the vents and everything closed off here in my office. But nevertheless, look at what it says here. Information we collect about you. We collect information when you sign up for Paramount services. We also collect information about how you use the Paramount services. In connection with certain Paramount services, we will also receive information about you from third parties. This information can identify you or your device or can be linked to you. You see this here, family? In connection with certain Paramount services, we will also receive information about you from third parties. So when you give them the okay, then that means that they could gather information. This is very generic. So you giving them the okay for them to gather information from other places about you. It's not just about your email. Oh, look at this here. Of course, I closed out. I closed it out. I didn't want Paramount. I was like, nah, I'm not letting you use my data. I could care less about Chi, right? Chicago. Look at it. How we use your information and why. We process your personal information to provide you with Paramount services as part of our agreement with you or to maintain our relationship with you. We also process your personal information to analyze the Paramount services. What personal information do they need? Now, granted, Okay, they have your email address. But what personal information do they need? Nah, I'm not rolling with this. To improve the Paramount services to personalize advertising and marketing, to manage safety and security, or when we have a legal obligation or permission to do so, right? It goes on to say who we share your information with and why. The information we share about you varies based on the Paramount services you are interacting with. We share personal information within the Paramount Skydance family of companies, and and look at here, and with some of our business partners. Let me read that again. It says here we share. Let me highlight this part. It says, we share personal information within the Paramount Skydance family of companies and with some of our business partners, including those supporting advertising based on your interests. We also share personal information with sponsors and other partners for events, giveaways, sweepstakes, and promotions. We share personal information as part of a corporate transaction to comply with legal obligations and to protect ourselves. Look at this, family. Look at this, man. When I saw this, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's like, man, you can have this. Look at this. You may have certain rights and choices regarding your personal information, such as the right to ask us for a copy of the information we hold about you. These rights are not available everywhere and may be limited by local law. You see how they say, hey, you have the right to ask for, hey, what kind of information you holding on about me? What information did you collect? What data did you collect about me? But look at what it says here. These rights are not available everywhere and may be limited by local laws. Come on, fam. This is a word salad. But again, it says you may have certain rights and choices regarding your personal information, such as the right to access for a copy. But then it goes on and basically contradict itself, shoot itself in the foot by saying these rights are not available everywhere. They didn't list the states that it's not that this right does not that does not have this right, does not adhere to this. Anyway, for example, these rights may be limited if fulfilling your request would reveal personal information about another person, or if you access to delete information that required by law to keep. Come on, family. This is a bunch of word salad nonsense. But look at what it goes on to say. International transfer. Paramount is a global company that may transfer your personal information to another country. Now, reason why it has including the United States, because this is on targeting some of the other countries overseas. But for us here in the United States, it could be Russia, it could be China, it could be Japan, because you see all the things that are going on. Your data is valuable, family. If you want to start shutting down these data centers, start closing out accounts, start closing out Paramount, start closing out any of their affiliates, right? Look, I don't need all these different things. I don't need Hulu. I don't need none of that stuff. I don't need the Disney Channel. I don't need any of those things. Why? Because the more you subscribe to those things, the more that they're going to pull up these data centers. We can start shutting down these data centers by disconnecting from these accounts. So look at what it says here again. It says Paramount may transfer your personal information to the Paramount Skydance family of companies, carefully selected service providers, business partners, and other third parties for the purposes described in this policy. Now, you know what? I got my phone right here, just so that way you guys don't think that I'm making this up. I took a screen. I took a picture of my television when this message came up. Let me send this to you guys. Let me send this to you guys. I'm gonna actually show it right now. I'm gonna send it to myself. You guys made me just think about it. And I'm gonna show you guys I am not making this up. All right. Y'all better pay attention to this stuff, family, and not just accepting stuff just to be accepting stuff. I'm going to share with you guys the picture that I took off my television. This happened Friday night, right? But look at what it goes on to say, and I'll share this after I read this here. It says, whenever we transfer your personal information within the Paramount Skydance family of companies into our service providers, business partners, and other third parties, we look at the risk to your information and rely on safeguards where applicable to ensure your rights are protected. For instance, we have put in place standard contractual clauses approved under data protection laws in Argentina, Brazil, the EEA, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom to facilitate transfers to the United States. All right. So it's a lot of generic wording here, a lot of word sauce here. All right. But let me do one more thing, right? Let me pull this up here. Then we get back over here. Let me pull this up here. I'm going to copy this image into my presentation. So that way you guys don't think that I'm just making this stuff up. All right, I'm copying this over to my PowerPoint. All right, we're going to switch back over to here. But let me just create this slide here. All right. All right, let me switch back over. Your data is more valuable than what you can ever imagine, family. By you allowing them to do whatever with your data, you're financing these data centers that they're building up, they're raising up, right, to basically poison you and raise up your utility bills. Have you noticed when you start, you notice these places, all of a sudden, so many places are having droughts? But guess who's protected? The data center. And actually, it's the data centers that's causing the droughts because of the amount of water that it sucks up. All right. All right, family. Let's go to the next. This is what was on my screen, right? When I clicked on Chi, it took me to this screen right here. Can you guys see this? If you guys can see this, type 1. Let me see. Where is this? Purchasing land is not going to stop anything if you don't put pork on it. What are you talking about? I don't understand this post. Come on, family. Let's not get caught up with it. Let me see here. Is that Sister Tanya? I'm trying to understand your post here. Purchasing land is not going to stop anything if you don't put pork on the altar. Maccabean times are coming. I hear you, sis. I don't agree with that. I understand your point, but it's beyond that. You know, it's well beyond that. It's well beyond that. You know, but I understand your point. I misunderstood it initially. I understand your point, but I don't agree with it. But we can respectfully disagree. All right. But anyway, when I glanced at it, I didn't know what it was saying, but looking at what it's saying, I see what you're saying. But anyway, look at what this said, family. Look at what this say. Keep watching Paramount Plus, right? Because when I clicked on to watch the Chi in Amazon, it took me over to the screen here. It says your Paramount experience on Prime Video will now be more personalized. Clicking continue with watching allows us to share with Paramount your name, email address, subscription status, and viewing history. Opt out by canceling your Paramount Plus subscription. Your advertising identifiers such as device ID and IP address to enable more relevant ads while watching Paramount Plus on Prime Video. Opt out of personalized ads at Amazon, and I've done that from the very beginning, right? But they shouldn't be sharing this. They shouldn't be sharing your data with anyone. What type of agreement do they have with Paramount and the other places? These other companies. Look here, continuing does not change prior opt-out choices. Paramount will use your data as explained in its privacy policy and it put that here. And I just read to you some of the policy. You see the hustle here, family? But they in cahoots, family. This is, I literally had to, and I was going to do a video on this last night, but I didn't have time to really put it all together. I was just going to do a short video and just upload it. But family, protect your data. Protect your data. Didn't Hamashiach said that warned us about throwing casting out pearls out there before swine. And social media have so many people casting their pearls out there before the swine. Stuff that should be in-house, remain inside in-house is now being broadcasted outside of the house. All right. So again, I just want to share this with you guys just so that way you can see just where we are right now and how the powers that be are doing anything and everything that they can to hoard and tear up communities just to build their wealth. And I believe that is part of the purge that they're doing. Think about it, right? They're on these yachts. They purchasing islands to where they got their own water resources and things along that line. They don't drink the water. They don't have to worry about the drinking water like our average person has to be concerned about. These are the things that they have. So they don't have a problem with tearing up communities because they don't live in those communities. They don't have problem with messing up food sources because they have their own independent food sources. Come on, family. Not everyone has the capabilities like many of us do to be able to grow our own stuff. But even some of the stuff that you're growing, some of the seeds, look at what they're doing to the seeds to try to keep the seeds from what? Bearing seed. That in itself tells you that it's a genetically modified seed. Fruit that and vegetables that don't have seeds in it. Anyway, I don't want to sound like I'm preaching here, family. All right. All right. Let's see here. Let's go a little bit longer here, family. So this is why I want to take you right back to this passage here. These have power to shut down heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecies, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues. Now, just to touch on a little bit, circling back to Lindsey Graham, right? And these guys, right? Because I did put their pictures up. But let's start with Lindsey Graham, because some of you guys may not know that he just passed away, like I said, suddenly last night, right? Or early this morning. So according to preliminary medical findings, the cause of death was an acute aortic dissection associated with, I'm not going to butcher this name. It's like Artie, I'm not going to butcher it, but nevertheless, it says here, an aortic dissection occurs when the inner layer of the body's main artery tears, creating a life-threatening medical emergency that can be fatal within minutes or hours if extensive. So basically, in a nutshell, just to highlight a couple of things, right? About what happened in this past 24-hour cycle with Lindsey Graham. He had just returned from a trip from Ukraine. President Donald Trump said he spoke with Graham the evening before his death. Trump said Graham mentioned that he was a little tired from traveling, but did not indicate he was seriously ill. So Graham had been scheduled to appear on Meeting the Press the following morning. His death leaves a vacancy in the Senate until South Carolina's governor appoints an interim replacement pending a special election. Then you guys may not know what's going on with heard about what's happening with Mitch McConnell. that he's been basically missing in action for the past 30 days. They said that he was rushed to the hospital. He passed out, rushed to the hospital, and he's been in the hospital ever since. And what they're saying is, according to reports, they're saying that he is on he's on life support, but he has no brain movement. He has no brain activities. He haven't had brain activities for almost a month. So basically, they're saying that it's life support that's basically keeping him breathing, keeping him alive. But they haven't seen him in almost 30 days, seen or heard from him. And think about it, man. These politicians, man, they ruthless, man, because think about it. They don't want to go, something happened to, for example, Lindsey Graham is supposed to trigger a special election, right? Same thing with Mitch McConnell. A special election is supposed to take place. So if they had a special election, the way things how things have been working out for the Republicans because of Donald Trump's actions, it's almost a guarantee that they're going to lose those 2 seats, which means that they were instead of having, I think it's a 1 or 2 seat majority, they were actually, and even technically right now, they don't have, they don't, it's like I think it's 1 seat below, something like that. But they lose 2 votes because of the medical conditions. So it's a lot going on, man, that these people do whatever it takes to try to keep power, right? Try to maintain power, right? So that's what's happening with Lindsey Graham. And that's what's happening with Mitch McConnell. And he's still living. But again, Mitch McConnell has now publicly, well, of course, he didn't explain it because he can't explain it, right? But staff and others tried to explain the reason for his hospitalization after several weeks of speculation. So according to his staff, he suffered a fall in mid-June that briefly rendered him unconscious. Right? He's still unconscious. During treatment, doctors also diagnosed him with mild pneumonia. He says, the staff says that the doctors found no evidence of a heart attack, stroke, or broken bones. So he's still in the hospital. So he haven't, and like I said, it's a lot going on. Then, of course, when we deal with the commander in chief, right? He's made several out of the blue hospital appointments. I think it's like just in this past year, like 3 or 4 or whatever. But nevertheless, these are some of the things that are happening. Why am I bringing that up? Because, and I'm going to do a special report just to really go through both sides of what's happening with these politicians. And we're going to go further with this lesson here, or this conversation here regarding Revelation 11, verse 6. Family, we have the power to speak pestilence. And this is why I labeled this lesson here. I titled this lesson actually on the PowerPoint, as you see here, Capitol Hill plagues are here. Because you cannot, they or any politician or any person that say that they, let's just say, believe in God and doing all the crazy stuff that they're doing, that they're steady undermining people. I mean, they are, married to, especially Lindsey Graham, he's married to the 1948ers. He was married to the 1948ers. He had more concern. Well, he did more for them and being aware of what's going on with them than the United States itself. That's just a fact. Mitch McConnell, he had more power than both presidents, actually the past three presidents. He is the one that actually took not 1, but 2 Supreme Court justices from President Obama. He the one, and others said that they were going to make sure that he's a 1-term president, did everything to undermine him. But he is the reason why the Supreme Court is the way that it is. He was in office for what, about 40 years, 40, 50 years as a senator. Anyway, and I believe that his family at one time owned slaves. But anyway, but again, family, I'm not here trying to promote one or the other. I could care less about the Democrats. I could care less about the Republicans. I could care less about all these politicians, but I'm praying plagues. I'm praying that they get affected just like how they've been trying to affect the communities, the people. They've been selling out people for their own greed. They've been selling out people. They've been selling it, and I don't have the clips here. Normally, I have these clips available showing you how Congress, Nancy Pelosi, making it clear that the 1948ers, that country comes before this country that they were elected officials in, saying that if anything happened, they would let the United States go down as long as Israel remained in place. They literally said that. Remember the clip that I would play about Nancy Pelosi? So family, this stuff is real. This stuff is real. There's a lot going on. And I just want to say this to you guys, and I know this may sound like a harsh thought for tonight, but family, you have the power to speak plagues. You don't have to sit back and feel like you have to be their victims. No, man. Again, even if you guys have to plaster this on your desk and a sticky note, put it on your monitor. Again, let me read it again. Revelation chapter 11, verse 6. These have power to shut down heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues. Didn't say some plagues, all plagues, as often as they will. And guess what? This puts me back into the mind of the what happened in Egypt, right? Let's see here. I'm just fast forwarding here. Let me just get to some of the let me see if I can scroll over here. Let's get to some of the plagues here, because we have the power to call into existence. Didn't say some of the plagues. It says, let me go right back here again so you guys can see it. It says all the plagues. Look at here. Oh, that's not it. Let me scroll up right here. It says to smite the earth with all plagues. Is that the word? Do you guys see that? Let me read it one more time. Matter of fact, let me pull it up in the back. You can pull it up right here. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. So we have the power to cause plagues, regardless of which plague it is. We have the power to call these plagues into existence as look at this, as often as they will. Is that the word, family? If I'm reading, pull up your Bibles. Don't just take my word. Bring your Bibles out. Is this the word? If this is the word, type 1, family. If this is the word, if you see that this is the word, if this is in your Bible, type 1. See, family, does this sound anything about praying for your enemies? Loving your enemies the way that we've been taught? Why are we not taught this passage here? I'm pretty confident that you guys haven't heard this from any other pastor. No pastor is teaching this. Because I would say, especially any pastor that have gone through school, you are up under the Eurocentric way of looking at the text, and you're teaching their agenda. You're teaching the crippling of Yah's people. Come on, family. All right. So let's look at some of the plagues here. Let's look at some of the plagues. Let me see. Where's my mouse at? I'm going to have to put some new batteries in. I think my battery's about to go dead. All right. Let me see here. Now, the Most High did give us some reassurance here, right? Look, this is what we could call plagues into existence. Look at here. And I will sever, right? Palaya, right? In that day, the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there. To the end thou mayest know that I am Yahweh in the midst of the earth, right? And I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow, this sign, right? Padath, right? Or Padah, this sign be. Let me read it again. And I will put a division, Padah or Padatha, between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be. So we see here, and I will sever, right? And let's see what it says here. It says here to distinguish, put a difference, show marvelous, separate, set apart, to be distinct, to be distinguished. So guess what? These plagues will help separate us. Let me say that again. These plagues can help bring separation of Yah's people and our oppressors, right? That's what this is saying. So when we go to Matthew 13 and 30, look at what it says. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together the first tares, bind them in bundles to them, gather the wheat into my barn, right? So again, plagues are signs, right? The plagues are proof and evidence of the true Israelites. Yarash, remember, Yasharah Allah, right? I was about to say Yarash Shalom, that's Jerusalem in ancient Hebrew. But again, let's fast forward. Sign, a signal, evidence, mark, proof. Anyway, so look at here. I'm just fast forwarding a little bit. I'm trying to get to the plagues here. Look at this here. Revelation 15:1. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues. So there's more plagues to come, family, but we have the power, as Revelation chapter 11 said, we can call the plagues, all the plagues, as often as is needed, is necessary. The Most High has given us the power to do this. All right, let me fast forward because I don't want to go through all of this. I'm going to get to some of the plagues here. All right. Let's see here. Let's see here. Look at this plague. No, this is done with feast day. That's not, I don't want to deal with the feast days right now. All right. All right, fam. I'm just trying to navigate here. All right, just dealing with the Shabbat. Don't want to deal with that right now. All right, let's go here. I think it's this one. All right. The story of the Nile turning into blood, right? Exodus chapter 4, verse 9, because again, we could call these plagues into existence, right? And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these 2 signs, neither hearken unto my voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. So let's go ahead here to a proof, right? I'm going to show you proof that this plague actually happened. Now, it's not going to read the same from what we read in the scriptures, but it's going to give you the same information or similar information from what? A different angle. The Egyptians didn't write about how they got conquered. They didn't write about how they got overthrown, but we do see in the admonitions of the Egyptian sage, right? We see this written inside their their ancient texts, right? Most Kemet guys don't want you to pull this out, right? Because they're trying to tell you that, hey, the plagues, that whole Exodus stuff, it didn't happen. Well, look at here. We got an Egyptian text that proves differently. Look at this here, family. It says here, right? The plague, let me zoom it in, right? So you guys can see. You see what it says here? The plague is throughout the land. If this Egyptian text is telling us that they have a plague, type 1, and look at it, didn't just say the plague. Look at what it says about the plague. It says blood is everywhere. Death is not lacking, right? Look at here. The river is blood. Men drink, right? I'm just moving it over. Men drink of it and shrink from it. The taste of right? And there's a question here. People, men thirst after water. So we see here, and I'm just zooming it out so I can make it easier for me to navigate. It says here, the plague is throughout the land, blood is everywhere, death is not lacking, right? It goes on to say, the river is blood, men drink of it and shrink from, in other words, the taste of people, shrink from people. In other words, the taste of people, right? Men thirst after water. Doesn't that sound like a plague, family? Doesn't that sound similar to the plague we just read from Exodus? Look at here, the destruction of livestock, for crops and livestock. Look at here. Exodus chapter 9, verse 5 and 6. And Yahweh appointed a set time, saying, tomorrow Yahweh shall do this thing, right, in the land. And Yahweh did that thing. Come on, family. Yahweh did that thing. The prophet said he was going to do it tomorrow, according to here. And it says, and Yahweh did that thing on the morrow. And all the cattle of Egypt died, but the cattle of the children of Israel died not. In other words, the Israelites, the Egyptians, their livelihood got judgment was passed on it. But Israel's was able to not get caught up in that judgment. Didn't touch our food resources, but it touched their resources, even though we were the ones that was in captivity, but their food sources got affected, right? Exodus 9, 30 and 31, this further confirms this. It says, I know that ye will not yet fear Yahweh Elohim. And the flax and the barley was smitten, and the barley was in the ear, and the flax was boiled. Right, give us some additional sources here, dealing with their resources, their food sources, their water sources being affected, their livelihood being affected. Look at here, the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt and rested in all the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them there were no such locusts. Okay, so I'm just giving you some examples here, family, of a famine. That's basically what this is describing, a famine that came on the land. Look at here, for they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened, and they did not eat herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees, and the hail had left, and there remained not any green thing in the trees, in the herbs of the field, through all the land of Egypt. So let's go back here to this source here, page 9. Look at here, family. It says here, nor is this limited area immune from the disaster that had befallen Lower Egypt. The ship of the southerners has gone adrift. The towns were destroyed. Upper Egypt has become dry waste. All right. So Egypt was in a state of ruin, right? As I highlighted with that source. But look at what else it says. It says, grain has perished on every side. People are stripped of clothes, spices, and oil. Everybody says there is none. The storehouse is ruined. Come on, family. Doesn't that sound like a famine? All right, let's keep it going. Pharaoh's servant was becoming impatient with Pharaoh's blindness to the destruction of Egypt. Doesn't that sound like this commander and thief that's in office? Didn't care about what's happening to the overall land as long as his house was good, right? As long as he's able to come into office. When he came into the presidency, he wasn't a billionaire, family. He was not a billionaire. But now, since he's been in office this past year and a half, just off his hustle coin, he done made over at least $2 billion off his hustle coin. Even though everyone that purchased his hustle coin, his dud coin, now they all lost. But how he made money is off the transactions, charging transaction fees. Anyway, hustler. Look at this, Exodus chapter 10, verse 7. The Pharaoh's servant said unto him, how long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve Yahweh their Elohim. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed? So they're saying, do you know you already destroyed Egypt? Do you know you destroyed the country based upon your stubbornness, based upon your pride? Doesn't that sound familiar, family? So look at this. Let's go back to the source here, page 34. We're going to see a similarity. We're going to see the flip side of this story from the Egyptian side. See, we're reading it from the Israelite side, but let's see what the Egyptians, how they record this side of this event that's going on, right? Look here. It says the product of craftsmen, the palace. To what purpose is a treasure house without its revenue, right? It goes on to say, glad indeed is the heart of the king. When truth comes to him, lo, every foreign country comes. That is our water. That is our happiness. What shall we do in respect thereof? All is ruined. See, they're saying the same thing. They're saying the king, as you see here, it says the king, it says, glad indeed is the king heart of the heart of the king. In other words, he's prideful, saying everything is destroyed, but yet he's trying to hold on to his pride. Look at here. It says again, let me read it again. The product of craftsmen, the palace. To what purpose is a treasure house without its revenue? In other words, what's the purpose of having a bank with no money in it? What's the purpose of having a food pantry with no food in it? What's the purpose of having a treasure house and you have nothing in it? It's empty. That's what they're saying. Glad indeed is the heart of the king when the truth comes to him. Lo, every foreign country, that is our water. That is our happiness. What shall we do in respect thereof? All is ruined. So they're telling the king everything is upside down. They're writing here, everything is topsy-turvy, and the king want to hold on to his pride. Right? Death of the firstborn. Right? We see that in the Exodus chapter 12, verse 29 through 30. Right? At midnight, Yahweh smote the firstborn in the land of Egypt from the firstborn of Pharaoh. Right? It goes on to say, and Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for all that was not in a house was not a house where there was not one dead. Let me read it one more time. There was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. All right. Every home was affected in Egypt. So let's go back to the source, family. I'm just showing you that the plagues are real. Look at what it says here. Forsooth, mirth has perished and is no longer made. It is groaning that is throughout the land, mingled with lamentation. So it's saying it's mourning all through the land, right? There's a darkness that's going on all through the land, right? But look, it's going to give us more information here. It says the children of princes are dashed against the walls, right? So now this telling us that the children of these leadership are what? They died. They transitioned. They got caught up what? In the plague. Come on, family. Am I giving you sources here? Proving that this existed. Now, this is a sickness, a disease that went on, that they refer to this as what did he call it? I think I have it here, but this is the plague pits of the 13th dynasty. But let's see what it says here. It says Professor Hans Godick of Johns Hopkins University notes that just such a plague is mentioned in the papyrus document of the era following the 13th dynasty, and the text refers to it as the Asiatic disease. Oh, come on, family. Come on. So the slaves began to plunder Egyptians' wealth. Let me show you one more source here. Right? Exodus 12, 35 and 36. Remember, this is when Moses commanded the Israelites through the Most High to go and demand reparations. It says, and the children of Israel did according to the word of Mashah. They borrowed. They didn't take out a loan, family. That's not what this means. You see the word sha'alah, right? Or sha'al of the Egyptian jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. So we see sha'alah, right? So it goes on to say, and Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent, right, sha'alah, wam, right, unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled not salah, the Egyptians. All right, so let's break this down real quick. Did the Israelites take out a loan? No, family. Did the Egyptians extend a line of credit? No, family. The Hebrew definition of the word borrow, let's see what it means from a biblical perspective: to inquire, to request, to demand, lay to charge. So this is not a borrow. This was not them lending. This is not the lending tree or any of those things. They demanded reparations. So Israel was instructed to demand. In other words, again, instructed, as instructed, Israel requested reparations from the Egyptians. But let's prove this with this Egyptian source, right? The admonitions of an Egyptian sage from the Hieratic papyrus in Leeton, right? Let's see what it says here. It says here, the destruction of such lists would naturally result in slaves claiming an independence to which they were not entitled. So here it is. Now the slaves, they try to tell you that there was no slaves in Egypt, but as we see here, it's documented, right? It says the destruction of such lists would naturally result in slaves claiming an independence to which they were not entitled. But then it goes on to say here, right? Gold, it says forsooth, gold and lapis lazuli, silver and malachite, carnelian and bronze stone of Yebet, and are fastened on the necks of female slaves. Good things are in the land, yet the mistresses of houses say, would that we had something to eat. So we see that households are giving what? The slaves their jewelry. That's what it's saying here. Are fastened on the necks of female slaves, right? Forsooth, gold and lapis lazuli, silver and malachite, carnelian and bronze, stone of Yebet are fastened on the necks of female slaves. Come on, family. All right. Come on, family. Let's get one more piece of information here. It says, behold, right? The poor of the land have become rich, and the possessors of property has become one who has nothing. Let me zoom that in. Is that clear here, family? The poor of the land have become rich. Let me zoom it in again. All right. The poor of the land have become rich, and the possessor of property has become one who has nothing. All right, looking at the time here, we're making good time. We're about to wrap it up here. All right. All right. All right. All right. This is, just some additional information about it. Our ancestors being growing, fruitful, and multiplying in Egypt, right? Growing by the numbers. All right. But we're going to stop right here. Let me see if there was anything else I want to share from here. Yeah, I'm not going to get into all of this. This is showing that we was numerous in Egypt, and we have proof of that. We also have, I have some additional sources. It gives Hebrew names right in the list of, right here, a papyrus of the late Middle Kingdom in the Brooklyn Museum. So we see names, and it's filled with, I think this book has like 70 to 80% Israelite names here of the slaves. All right. And matter of fact, I'll show you one example here. You see Sapar, right? Sapara, right? That's one of the women, the Hebrew midwives, right? Who did not want to carry out Pharaoh's instructions. Right. You see her name here. It says name of one of the two Hebrew midwives. Exodus 1:15. All right. Then we see some of the tribal names here, right? As you see, Yasakir, in other words, Issachar, that's inside this book as well. So we're going to stop right here, right? We're going to stop right here. So, family, the point of this live, I just wanted to show, just reiterate this point to you guys, that we have the power to call plagues into existence, right? And I believe we're going to really start seeing the powers that be get hit hard. by these plagues. Their finances, everything is going to get hit hard, right? Not just the leadership in this country, for us, the politicians in this country. We want to see this happen around the world. We're going to see this happening around the world. That's my belief, right? Because something got to give. And I believe if we just start praying and speaking, right, these pestilence into existence, judgments into existence, it will start happening. All right. So I want to thank you guys, family, for the love and support. Really appreciate you guys for hanging out with me tonight, especially with this this last minute live. But let's look at the poll. Thank you, Ama. Let's see what the poll says here. I didn't pull up the results here. Let's go back here. So I did take a poll and I left it open. I completely forgot about it. Let's see if what type of participation did we have on it? If the poll is still up there. I'm not sure if the poll is still up there. Oh, there it is. Let me pull it up. All right. So I'm going to copy this over. Let's see the results of this poll. I'm going to put it on the screen here so you guys can see it. And we got great participation. We got 98%. We got 198 votes here. So let me go ahead and put this into a slide. And I'll put it up on the screen, the results on the screen. All right. Let's do it right now. All right, all right. So I'll do a special teaching on this too. Let's go to this slide here. So we have, did Christ pray for other nations such as the Greeks, right? 11% said yes. 74% says no. 16% says not sure. So 26%, right? 74% made it clear that they understand Christ did not pray for other nations. And for the 16%, we'll do a special teaching on that, right? For the 11%, I have to prove to you that you're wrong. And I'm going to do a special teaching on that. That there are lessons in the foundational playlist that I deal with this, but I'll do an updated lesson on that to prove that he did not pray for everyone. That's something that we've been taught incorrectly. All right. But anyway, family, let me go ahead and fix my screen here. All right. So really appreciate the love and support. And I see the poll just went up more. We got 10 extra votes since I touched on this poll. But again, family, really appreciate the love and support. Be on the lookout, family, for my book. It's going to be coming pretty soon. I'll give it a month, maybe at the most 6 weeks. Completed the writing of the book. Got it completed. Now I turned it over to the editors a week ago, and we'll just see what see what they come back with. Because of course, we got to go through the back and forth with, make sure the grammar is correct and all the tedious stuff. But once we get it through the editors and we get a thumbs up, then the next phase will be to lay down the audio of the book. Right. We're going to have an audio copy of it available to you guys. And I'm gonna write out some lesson plans too, based off the book, because it's a lot of information that I'm sharing in this book, but it's much needed information, right? To really undo a lot of the poor or deceptive things that we've been taught. And I'm not going to get into the specifics, but the book will be ready pretty soon. So once we get it off the press, get it hot from off the press, or should I say off the desk of the editor, then the next phase will be making it available to you. And just be ready for it. We're going to have a release signing. I'll make sure you guys are ahead of that. We may even target Tabernacles, which is coming up in October. So I'll start announcing when we celebrate and honor in Tabernacles. So if you guys want to come celebrate Tabernacles with us and also celebrate the book release, our doors open to you. We'll start promoting that like now, so that way you guys can make whatever arrangements. My throat is dry. Whatever arrangements that you need to make for us travel arrangements. But nevertheless, family, let's go to wrap this up. Really appreciate you guys again for the love and support over the years. And in spite of this shadow ban, we want to keep pressing forward. All right. So I encourage you guys, again, hit that like button. Also check your notifications. Make sure you have that bell selected. And also make sure that you still subscribe to the channel, because YouTube has been unsubscribing subscribers. All right. So if you think that you still subscribe, double check to make sure that you are still subscribed. Then once we conclude this video, go to the comment section, family. We got more than enough people. We should have at least 100 comments posted in the comment section. You could do it right now while we're on the phone, not just in the chat. Go to the comment section, just type a comment, whatever comments, whatever is on your heart about the lesson, just post a comment. So if we could get, we already have over 200 likes, right? If we could get at least 100 comments in the comment section as we wrap up, that's going to help break us out the algorithm or the shadow banning. At least start putting pressure on that algorithm. So again, family, thank you for the love and support. And let's close out with the words of Yahweh that he gave to Moses in Exodus chapter 12, verse 13 and 14. He said to Moses to share with the people. Why? Because they were at a dead end. They thought that the Egyptians was going to take them out, and they thought that they were led to a dead end. But nevertheless, the Most High gave the Israelites this word by way of Moses. Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today will not have power over you ever again. The Egyptians, right? Again, he said that they're still going to exist, but they're not going to have power, right? But here's the kicker. The Most High will fight for you, but we have to hold our peace. The Hebrew word inside that text is not shalom. I know some will say shalom, but the actual Hebrew word there is charash, which means be quiet. Let me say that again. Charash, which means be quiet. Can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. Shalom.
There is something special about you, Judah. There is something special about you, Israel, or Yashara'al. When I say Judah, Yahawada. That is the ancient pronunciation of the word. There is something special about you, Judah. Yahweh only spoke to you, to us, as a nation. And he spoke to no other nation. That's why we are supposed to be what? That light. We're Yah's chosen people that's separated. We're supposed to be the nation that's teaching the nations, not the nations teaching us.
Lion of Judah come upon the earth, bringing unquenchable fire. All the tribes of Israel and the believers stand in power. Speak with authority, worship uncontrollably. There's something about you, Judah. Fire upon the kingdom of darkness. We may suffer for a little while, but joy cometh in the morning.
Judah special, no wonder we were a chosen vessel. In and out of captivity, weaving like a pretzel. Messiah come through the tribe, clean out the bloodline. We disciples, so put us up on the front line. Face to face with crime, cause we ain't scared to grind. When you connect the divine, we stay pressed for time. Evangelize, keep define, put us in prison in. Worship first, but we always invite the spirit in. Hold revival through a pen, stacking souls in empty bins. Joy in the morning, this a warning, you will never win. Fire upon the head of the serpent, he makes tail chirping. It's too late cause your tail's already burning. I don't want your riches, gotta match it with gold streets. Movers all around me, the light shine, no police. The living used to be deceased, resurrected to a feast. Nothing like being in peace at the table with the meat.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.